Hello friends, my name's James, and this is my 1965 Alberg 30 sloop SV Tria. We're on a mission to sail around the world and see as much of this beautiful planet as possible. On this season, we're working our way through New Zealand. I want to share with you all the magic that is Aotearoa. We're coming into Man O' War Bay. I totally forgot to film because it was kind of chaos. We just had like a spirited sail across the channel and 20 plus knots of wind, and I just forgot to film. So here's Man O' War Bay. We're gonna get the hook set in this very protected little cove and have lunch at a winery. So Edna's just dropped us off. She has to get back to real life. I'm with the RaLa crew, and we're gonna hike up to Stoney Batter tunnels and have a look-see at the views and see if the tours are open.
Good morning, guys. How are you? All good? Hello? Over.
It is so pretty up here. Very unique with all these rocks. Makes sense, it's called Stoney Batter. Little sheep hanging out everywhere. We just saw a really beautiful bay called Hooks Bay. We were gonna go to that, but that Hooks Bay looks fantastic. Guarding the gateway to Auckland, facing the threat.
Greetings. Anybody here?
Says toilet.
Guided tours leave on the hour.
Every last fields, of course, poppy fields. You mentioned I haven't seen all those beautiful poppies around you.
Some great poetry around all that, isn't it?
Yes, landless fields.
Yeah.
You could take a torch each.
Come on in, guys.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
explain this. This is very safe. There's no collapsing in the concrete.
Yeah.
No deterioration at all.
Thank you.
tunnel by hand.
Was it?
It's a chunk.
And then lined with concrete, obviously.
Yes, yeah, this is we store artifacts when we find them.
Oh,
You're currently excavating, are you? Wow.
Tim, are you still digging?
Yes.
Well, the place was abandoned and vandalised over a long period of time, so it's a matter of recovering things. So I've probably got about 3 times more in storage.
Wow.
So that's one of the magazines. This is the number 2 magazine. Number 2 magazine, and the magazine, of course, is where shells are stored. About 300 shells stored in here. 7 of the room is empty, shells are transported down here and taken up by hoist.
Yeah.
You can stand on that.
Right, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Wow.
So these walls are a metre thick. You can see what's a yard. You can see the shoulder there. If you look up, see the shoulder?
Yeah.
It's a metre deep. First World War was the last war of powder. So magazines typically were powder stores. Now we're on to cordite, which is TNT material, and it's suspended in a fibre, packed into these. These are the fibres, and then tied tightly with silk threads, silk braids, loaded into silk socks. These are half charges, 60 pounds. So 2 of these go in for range. Even today, when you look at the war on the Ukraine, you see the shells going into the howitzer, then you see the 2 little green packs going in behind, still good.
Wow. So it's almost like a musket, but
Yeah.
just like, and now how are these ignited?
With electronic detonator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even in World War II?
So they would go in electronic detonators inserted through the breech and triggered electronically.
Whoa. Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely massive. Percussion would have been huge. So this room's highly volatile space. This is why we have a room built inside the main chamber. Artificial roof, artificial walls to protect it from percussion.
So that's the idea about the space.
Yeah, that's why there's cavities all the way around.
Okay.
Cavity above us, cavity around us. Yeah, well, this is like used as a concert chamber. We have lots of music events in here, opera, jazz, pop. And before Christmas, I brought a flamenco dancer up from Madrid, and we had a flamenco show in here. So normally it's full of seating and so forth. And now I've decided for the season we're going to go with artworks.
It's amazing.
So this is an artistic space. It's not for weddings or birthday parties or DJs. Guys, you're passing under the forest and under the stream, and you're just getting into the water table down there.
Okay, so a bit down by the foot.
And just go straight, you can't go any other direction.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. These disco lights are hilarious.
Well, what?
Look up here! Look up here!
This is just like being in the tube, 7 stories underground.
It's a light. End of the tunnel.
Right, so there must be a pipe.
Nice. Nice.
Belfast WWII. What? Yeah, I'll tell you what, this was a bit noisy.
That's what I was going to say. The sound must have just been so intense.
Oh, God. Wow. What goes on up here then?
Oh, they're short and they're off to different angles. It's very strange.
I think you go up and down.
Okay, oh well, I might as well while you're here, take a seat. Down here, we're restricted from talking with others on the surface. You actually had 7 women working down here, living down here. So they were restricted and given accommodation down here. This was the only area where they were sleeping. Okay, so this room over here was a storeroom. This is your main communications room, so phones and telegraph. Radios didn't work down here. The next room over held the 4th plotting table, and of course the 2 little rooms off to the side were the accommodation. These detect metal movement under the sea. These mines here were manufactured right here on Rangitoto, but 400 were mapped right across submarine net across from Rangitoto to the mainland, and also from North Head to the mainland. That's where the 2 barriers were.
Right.
And they were barricaded as well and had mines surrounding them. The blue line is our shipping lane today, which crosses north of Great Barrier here. But back then, that was your safe passage with coordinates in a very small shipping inlet into the Waitemata here, into Auckland. The Germans came through in 40 and 41. There were 2 of them disguised as merchants. They were going through our shipping lanes, laying mines across. And the one that came up here was called the Orion. He laid 228 mines right across north of Great Barrier, right over to the Mokohina Islands, and then right across to Breeds Bay, which is somewhere up here. He only got 2 ships, and the main one he got was the Niagara. The Niagara was a luxury cruiser back in the 40s. They used to call it the Titanic of the Pacific until the Titanic sunk, and then they called it the Pride of the Pacific. And it would carry 700 people, but it was even a makeshift hospital during the influenza. But on this mission, which was secret, it was carrying New Zealand's gold bullion out of the country before the Japanese invade. Now the hull hit a mine, and of course went on its way down, struck a second, which really buckled the ship. It's 125 metres down. It's been down there for about 80 years now. Now they did recover some of their gold after the war, but there's still a bit left in the hull. Okay, so we had the Japanese come through in 41 and 42. In 41 we have a Japanese submarine anchored up by the Hen and Chicken Islands up here. On board they're carrying a mini seaplane, compactable, folds up in seconds. They had a cover for it. They also were using a catapult to get it in the air.
Wow.
So the plane is seen leaving the sub down the coastline, flies around Auckland, up and down, flies around and heads back to the submarine and leaks. So they don't know at that time what it was doing. It was sighted all around Auckland. At the end of the war, in an Australian interview with the pilot of the plane, he's asked, why did you go into Auckland, fly around and then leave? He goes, well, I had 2 targets, one in Auckland, one in Sydney. Couldn't find my Auckland target, so I went for my Sydney target. So the Sydney target was the harbour, Sydney Harbour, 1941 mini submarine attack. That was the mother submarine, or mother ship. That was too far out. By the time they got out there, it was gone. So, Japanese come back in 42. This time they are sighted flying all over the country, anchored, submarines anchored around the outer islands off the mainland. They're fully mapping out New Zealand in 42. They've also printing money from New Zealand.
Whoa.
Yeah, so they're confident.
Wow. That's crazy.
They're already coming. So they're printing money. You can actually see the money in the map at the War Memorial Museum.
Whoa.
So that's how serious they were. Okay, so that's 41, 42. They also did pamphlet jobs over in New Zealand, warning them that they were going to invade and what they were going to do with the men and women, separate them, and they're basically going to depopulise them. Not very nice. Pearl Harbor of 41 is Waiheke's responding. They start Waiheke in 42. That's a response to Pearl Harbor, the threat of the Pacific. The Americans make their way down to the Pacific for the war. They anchor all around Great Barrier here, which was also a hiding place for when the Japanese come through. They would have been waiting for them. Now, Auckland's population, less than 670,000 back then. The government tries to recall 250 soldiers home. The British deny them. They needed in Europe. So the Americans sent out 20,000 Marines. The Americans had 2,000 camped out on Hotutapu. They had a secret base there. Also on the back of Waiheke, and their infrastructures are seen throughout the country. That also then leads us to the battle at Midway.
The Battle of
Midway Islands.
Midway, okay.
Yeah. And of course the Americans managed to decipher a code name that they weren't sure was for Midway Islands. So they sent a trick message, hoping that the Japanese would pick it up and use the code name, and they did. So they knew they were heading for the Midway Islands. So when the American pilots come across the fleet, the Japanese are actually 2 months off from invading, and they're going to carry out air raids. So the Americans start bombing straight away. The Japanese aircraft are more advanced, so they were out and they have further range away from the carriers. Americans go in, they cripple 3 of those carriers and destroy a lot of their aircraft. And then of course the next day they sink the 4th. That's all the firepower from the Japanese bomb. So that pushes them right on. So lucky us, I'm sitting here today.
Fascinating.
So there you go, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great story. Yeah. Tell us, how did this place hold up in the heavy rainwater that you had?
It wasn't too bad actually.
Yeah.
Like whenever we have a heavy storm, it's about a week to seep through.
Yeah.
And the feed, it's really quite easy to see.
Really incredible experience. That was a very neat tour. Pretty fascinating, extensive tunnel network, and a lot of good history found out. Stoked. You guys like it?
Yeah, it was
It's
amazing.
cool, right?
I mean, it was really interesting, yeah.
So crazy. And I was shocked to find out about the mines and stuff from the Nazis. Like, that is so bonkers.
Yeah.
The sea mines. Wild.
But,
you enjoy the content on this channel and would like to contribute, you can consider joining the Patreon crew. Thanks for watching. Fair winds until next time.